Hi, this is Jim Sackman, your focal point business coach, and this is the last in our series on creating a future. And I hope you've enjoyed this series, and we'll be moving on to another topic next time. So, this one's all about execution, and the reason is we've talked about planning and strategy and setting goals, but it really all boils down to execution. And I love this Sun Tzu quote here: strategy without tactic is the slowest route to victory. And what that means is if you just go off and do a bunch of stuff and it's not coordinated, which strategy is the coordination and tactics is the execution part, then you don't get anywhere. And tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat. So if you don't execute well, you can have a great plan, and if you don't execute, you won't win. And if you don't have any plan at all, no matter what you do, you're just flailing around and not getting anywhere. So that's where it's about. So we focused really on tactic on the strategy part at this point, about plans and metrics and all that stuff. And the reason is most business owners are much more comfortable on the tactic side of things, actually executing what they do. Many people are much more comfortable about that than they are talking about the plans that they have to do and mapping it out and actually assigning numbers to it and setting hard goals before they execute. So that's where we focus. But today we're going to talk about execution. So last time I pointed out that we need metrics, hard metrics that we're going to measure around this. And we need to measure them on a periodic basis. For most large corporations, that will probably be on a quarterly basis, and in some cases on a monthly or even weekly basis. But you need to figure out how often you're going to measure the goals that you're trying to achieve and how quickly you're going to keep track of those things. And one of the reasons for that is unless this becomes really part of your business, then it becomes an overhead. So you need to be thinking about these kind of metrics and measurements less as an add-on to your business and more about as the way you do business. And then there's two other bits of this that I want to talk about, one of which is called the 3 feet from gold problem. And it means people give up on stuff just before it's successful. So one of the things that you need to be clear about is almost none of these things are going to be linear in their execution. Especially in the beginning, they're going to be somewhat exponential. So very low progress in the beginning, and then more rapid progress later on. And the reason for that is these things need to build momentum. I've seen marketing plans that come and go on a quarterly basis. And if you change your entire marketing strategy every quarter, none of it's ever going to stick. So you probably need to be thinking about things on an annual basis or a 6-month basis at least before you change directions entirely. It doesn't mean that you don't change some of your execution in the plans, but don't throw away plans every quarter. You basically will get nowhere. And finally, celebrate victory, either with yourself or you and your employees, you and your partners, you and your customers, whoever you're going to celebrate with. You need to take stock of when you've done well and reward yourself for that. We spend a lot of time in coaching talking about the negative side of things and how you course correct for problems, but you also need to celebrate when things work. And the reason is if you talk to just about anybody, you'll find that almost no employer rewards them for victory. And it's one of the things that whether it's an employee, whether it's a partner, whether it's anybody you work with, a customer, when something works right, celebrate with them, and it'll cement that relationship for the long term. So one of the examples I've been using our 2001 AFC business strategy here. And one of the things that we did at the beginning of that is once we realized that we weren't going to break through in our existing market, we made prototypes for both fiber to the home and voice over IP. And we knew that one of these technology shifts would have to happen for us to crack into the large carriers in our core markets. So it is that which led to the success at Fios using fiber to the home technology. And we were ready when the RFP came out with a prototype to show on our existing platform. And one of the things that we had to fight for very deeply once that happened was there was lots of pressure internally to move to a more modern platform. There was a problem with timing with doing that, and it eventually, in the customer selection, because the customer was already familiar with our product, it already knew that it worked in whole bunches of areas in its systems, it's one of the reasons that AFC was selected for that bid. So once you've got a plan, unless there's a super compelling reason to change it, like the 3 feet for gold problem. Don't rework your plan midstream unless there's a super compelling reason to do it. And the reason we won is because we stayed the course on that. So thank you for your time. Have a great day. This is Jim Sackman. Change your business, change your life.